Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Zing Seated Awena. As usual, we are joined by Mr. Arnold Maibongwe, and today we are talking about African music. Mr. Ngala, hello and welcome.
Hello, and thanks again. I always enjoy to be here, as always.
Nice to see you.
Yes, yes.
Please go ahead. We are talking about African music today. What have you brought for us?
Yes. Today we are going to talk about African music. Unfortunately, I can't dance, I can't sing.
Okay.
So I was going to illustrate by singing and dancing and
Dancing. Okay. It would have been nice and very
reading the
entertaining.
instruments. But I'll do my best. I'll do my best to 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 explain
Okay.
what I'm talking about. And
African music is all about.
African music, African music is a very broad topic.
Okay.
But I'll do my best to present it in a that I feel that may be relevant and interesting to
Yes.
most of our
Well,
viewers and
African music
listeners.
is interesting and very varied, like the African population, and very
It's
colorful.
very diverse. Yes,
Yeah,
it's very
it's
diverse.
extremely
It's
diverse.
very broad.
Yes.
Yes, it is impossible that we can talk. We can talk about everything, but I will try by all means to mix thing that I feel can be interesting.
Okay. Please go ahead.
Yes. So in Africa, music is part of culture.
Yes.
People use it to express people use it to express themselves, if I
Yes.
can put it that way. So it can be used in many occasions. For
Mm,
example, maybe if there is a ritual or a rite,
mhm.
or maybe if people are playing, the reasons are so many. There
And
are so many.
folklore to pass down history.
And oral tradition.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm,
So through music, you can get to know some other stories,
yes.
African stories, preservation of
Yes.
culture
It's been
through music.
preserved
Yes.
through, yeah, culture has been preserved through music.
And 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 African music is so old. It's very old,
Uh,
such that no one knows when it was invented or when it started.
okay.
But the history of African music historically can go as far back as ancient Egypt.
Okay.
And ancient Egypt was called Kemet. So to say Egypt, actually Egypt was the Romans. Yeah, I think it was the Romans who called it Egypt. But the Egyptians, or the people who were staying in that area, they used to call their country Kemet.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
So it goes as far back as Kemet,
Okay.
especially during the time Pharaoh, which was around which was after 3100 BC. 3100 BC. Yes.
Okay.
So the many musical illustrations in Egyptian monuments, like temples. In the temple walls there, there are drawings in the temple walls, in the tombs, in the palaces, and in the ancient Egyptian thing called hieroglyphics. So if you go through hieroglyphics, they talk. So that's how old music is. And in hieroglyphics, the word music, they call it heset. Heset. I don't know how
Okay.
they used to pronounce it.
Okay.
Yes. So yes. So ancient Egyptians, they believe that music was invented by a god called Bat. Bat as in BAT. Yes.
Okay.
So to them, yes. So to yes, so to them, music was godly, if I can put it that way.
Okay.
And the instrument which was associated with Bach is a instrument called a sistrum or sistrum, if I
Okay.
can put it that way. So it's a metal rifle. You see a rifle.
Yes.
So it's a metal rifle with a it's a Y-shaped metal rifle. Yes, yes. So this instrument, it is still used today in Coptic churches, in Ethiopian churches. You see,
Okay.
so you see, up until today, it's still it is still used as a religious instrument. You see, yeah.
Okay.
So due to the fact that um, ancient Egyptians were so organized in many things, which is why their organization or their way of doing is referred to as civilization of Egypt, right? So
Right.
it means that their religious system was so organized again. So this helped in the organization of music. So music also became organized.
Yeah.
You see, so musicians were organized into singers, into dancers, and instrument players.
Okay.
You see, and this is where professional professional musicians came about.
Okay.
You see, so the invention of professional musicians, as far as history is concerned, it started in Egypt, in ancient Egypt, Kemet. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So as went by, since you know that Egyptians were polytheists, I said on when we were talking about African religion, what is polytheism, right?
Yes.
So do you remember?
Yes, it's believing in multiple gods.
Yes, yes. So the polytheists, so new gods were always being introduced. And because of the other gods and goddesses that also became associated with music.
Okay.
Sorry.
Pardon, can you go say that again?
I said, for example, goddess Hathor.
Oh, okay.
There is goddess Hathor. Yes, 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 yes. And then there is Merit. There is God Bet. There's a god called Merit. Yes. So Merit was believed to be the god who was able to compose, write, and sing and dance to music.
Okay.
You see, so a gifted person, or should I say, a talented musician, was believed to be possessed with the spirit of merit. See, so you see, music was not just was seen as a religious aspect. You see, and if I can put it in today's world, if I can put it in today's world, I think I've heard Beyonce, the musician Beyonce, saying that if she's performing, she is Sasha Fierce. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
Yes. So you see, it's more like she's saying she gets possessed with the spirit called Sasha Fierce. So she does things that she can't do if she's not performing.
Okay.
So I'm just giving people a perception of how Egyptians perceived people who were musicians, good dancers, good instrumentalists, good singers. You see, so they saw them as people who were possessed. And if you look at the Christian Bible, I think they talk about Lucifer, and they say Lucifer was a good musician. And today we have got people who are called Luciferians, people who believe in a deity called Lucifer from the Bible, you see. So you see, so
this thing of being possessed, it also comes from African spiritualism, because when people are possessed, It's after you usually you sing for them and clap for them, don't you, for to welcome that spirit or whatever. So it could,
Yes, actually, we are going to talk about that as the discussion moves. We are going to talk
okay,
about that. We will get there. What
okay,
I'm trying to say is that uh, what I'm trying to say is that what you are saying is very true. Yes, yes. So you see, so in other words, just to add on that, so you see, music is a way of invoking the spirits. You see, it's an invoking technique.
okay.
Invite the spirits. Yes, yes. You
Or
see,
maybe music
to
transports
the
you
host to
to, yeah.
yes. So music in Africa is spiritual. It's
Yeah.
very spiritual. You see.
Okay.
So but as time goes on, music started to also to be applied in palaces, because there is also the entertaining aspect of music, right? Music can also be used for entertainment.
Yes.
So because of that, it started to be applied even outside the religious system. You see, so it started to be applied in palaces.
Mm.
So when the pharaohs, maybe that a diplomat from another country, or when they are just entertaining themselves, you see, and then concerts, you see, that's where the idea of concerts came about, you
Okay.
see. So
So that's
in
the
the process,
beginning of music as an industry.
yes, the commercialization of music,
Music.
yes,
Okay. Yeah.
yes, yes. So in the process, other instruments were also introduced. Like there's an instrument called the ney. The ney the ney is a flute with 7 finger holes to change the pitch. Sorry, you
Okay.
see. So there was the trumpet, there was the tambourine, the clappers. There are so many instruments that were introduced in Egypt.
Mm.
Many.
Okay.
And musical groups. So musical groups began to be formed, and these musical groups started to be hired for performances, like as I've said.
Mm.
And these groups were called in Egypt, in Kemet language, they were called kenas, if I can put it that way. Yes, kenas,
Okay.
as in KHENERS, kenas.
Okay.
Yes, and then in temples and religious shrines, um, people who used to dance were women,
Okay.
and they were referred to as shemayets. They are referred to as shemayets.
Okay.
Yes, yes. So one of the most common form of dancing, which exists still till this day, but in different forms, is this type of dance we refer to as the belly dancing. You see the
Okay.
belly dance. I don't know
Yeah.
whether is please I apologize if that may sound offensive, the word belly dancing. I don't know whether there is another word, but some people call it oriental dancing. But I'm just trying to give people a picture, that kind of belly dancing, So that form of dancing, it was danced by the Shemaites, you
Okay.
see, and they were dancing it as a magical ritual,
Okay.
as a way of worshiping the gods or goddesses, especially goddesses that were associated with fertility and
Okay.
and the womanhood. You
Mm.
see, yes. So, and belly dancing, it became also popular in Turkey. So now there's this history that says it actually was invented in Turkey. So there's a history that says it was invented in Egypt. Another one says Turkey. You see,
Okay.
because of it became more widespread, and it's referred to as Oriental. Oriental is Eastern, right?
Yes.
Um, yes. So, and as years went by, as as it spread across nations that were surrounding Egypt, it became, a variant of this kind of dancing developed.
Okay.
See.
Yeah.
Like even during the 20th century, they were still developing. For example, there's a type of dance which is called Shapi dance. Shapi as in SHWAPI is a type of dance which was developed in Cairo in Egypt in the 1920s. So there's also Shapi music. It also gave birth to Shapi music.
Okay.
You see, and examples of people who popularized this kind of music or dance or this type of variant. For example, there is Ahmed Adeweya. He's the one he's referred to as the king of Shapi. You see,
Okay.
yeah. So Shapi dance also developed again. Since I'm saying that, it was becoming
That's changing.
in levels.
Yes.
Yes. So it also developed from it also developed into a type of dance called baladi. Yes.
Okay.
So other musicians in Shapi music, we have got Hakim, we have got Shaban Abdel Rahim. All these are the examples of people who can give us a picture of Shapi music. You see, so yeah, I think for now, speaking of Egypt and music,
Yes.
and then yes, and then there is a common instrument used by the Khoisan.
Mm-hmm.
We can refer to it as a musical ball, a musical ball. So do you see the Khoisans? Okay, to begin with, you remember we said the word Khoisan is an anthropological term, but there is no group which is called the Khoisan, right? It's just an
Khoi or the San.
Yes, the Khoi and the San. Yes. So that especially the San people, they are people who survive by hunting, right?
Yes.
Yes. So you see, they use a bow and an arrow, right?
Yes.
So somehow, because of their strong attachment to the bow and arrow, since there are people who live on hunting, they also managed to realize that the bow can be a musical instrument. Okay. Somehow they got to know that. So they will play it like a violin, if I can put it that way. Like that string, there's a string.
Yes.
In the bow, there's a bow, and then there's a bow string.
Yes.
See? So somewhere they're playing like people when they're playing that kind of is equal to a harp or something like that. Like when you play those strings, yes, it is. And the interaction between the Khoisan and the Bantu groups like the Nguni, the Sutu, it also made those groups to also adopt using this musical bow.
Okay.
You see, so Ndebele, the Ndebele people, they're under the Nguni people, right? So we call it umqangala. In Ndebele, this type of musical bow, it is called umqangala. And then in Sutu they call it stolotolo or storotoro. Okay. So there is a song. So there is a South African quite a musician called Mzekeze. Do you know Mzekeze?
Yeah.
So he has a song, Istorotoro. And maybe some people may not know what he was meaning. So Istorotoro, he was spinning the musical ball. Yes,
Okay.
yes. And then in Zulu, uh, they, there is a variant. You know, now people, now they are making a, a, a variant of the musical ball. So they attach a calabash so that it also makes a different sound,
Different sound,
a
yes.
certain sound.
Mm.
Yeah. So in Zulu they do that. They call it umakweyane.
Okay.
There is a Zulu sense Makoko. Princess Makoko is the mother of Chief Mangosuthu Buthelezi, former leader of the South African political party, Inkatha Freedom Party. And
Yeah.
he is also the prime minister of the Zulu nation. Yes. He is the son of Princess Makoko. So Princess Makoko was a musician. She used to play this type of instrument.
Okay.
And yes, and then in Liberia they call it Kipon, Kipala. So it's now everywhere because of that interaction
With the sun and the koi.
with the koi. Yes.
Yes.
And then in Uganda they call it Ekopore or Umunahi. You see.
Okay.
So yes, so in it comes in different names.
Okay.
And in different types.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So yeah. And then another thing we highlighted on the topic during, do you remember when during the time when we were discussing on the topic of religion of Africa, right? Do you remember we spoke of Sufism? Do you remember when we were speaking of Sufism? What I said? Do you still remember?
When we're talking about
Sufism.
Sufism. I remember talking about Sufism. I can't remember specifically.
Yes. I said that in Africa, Islam was localized or
yes,
was syncretized with
syncretized
Africanism.
in different cultures.
And then, yes, syncretized, yes, with African elements. And
Yes.
and they used an Islamic philosophy or an Islamic school of thought called Sufism or
Yes.
Sufi. Do
Yes.
you remember? Yes. So one of the examples or some of the examples of Sufism in Africa are also found in music. You see,
Okay.
so through that syncretization, it also affected African music. Okay, so I can give you an example. So there is a type of music in Nigeria, right? Which is called, especially among the Yoruba people, it's called the were music. Were music. It's a genre, were music. Okay. So it's an example of a type of, yes, of a syncretized music. Yes. Okay. Through Sufi. Yes, yes, okay. Yes. So they play it during Ramadan. So Ramadan is one of those sacred.
Accidentally, it's Ramadan this month.
Sorry?
Right now, it's Ramadan month.
Oh, wonderful.
Happy Ramadan.
Okay. Wow. So they used to play it like during this occasion, right? So yeah, this were music. And it became so popular that it managed to find itself in parties and concerts. So it became so popular because of that, of Africanism, right? Okay. That the Nigerians or the Yoruba, they managed to even take that kind of music to the concerts and the parties. Okay. So it became so popular, especially in cities like Ibadan and Lagos. Yes. Okay. So examples of people who have popularized that type of music, we have got Kaniu Kuti, we have got Ayinde Barrister, you see. So it became so popular in around 1970s. Yeah.
Okay.
And then another example again of music that came out of Sufism in Africa, or should I say another? You remember that when I was speaking of Sufism, I spoke of orders. Do you remember when I was speaking of religious orders?
Yes.
Do you remember?
Yes.
Yes. So there is an order which was founded in Senegal. So it's called a Murid order. It's called the Murid order. So Murid order is an order within Sufism. You see?
Okay.
Yes. So it's a syncretized. So now what happens is the Senegalese they syncretized the music in a Murid order with Wolof music. So Wolof is like there is a community in Senegal called the Wolof people, right? Yes. I think the musician Ishmael Lo is Wolof. I'm not sure. I think so. Yeah. So they secretized music from the Murid order. So these elements which are found in Murid order, they are called Muridism, right? So they syncretized the Muridism with the Wolof traditional music to come up with a new genre called Mbala, but when you are spelling it, is M-B-A-L-A-X, Mbala, yes. So this genre was modernized, by Senegalese musicians like Youssou N'Dour. So Youssou N'Dour became the. Sorry.
Ishmael Lo is Wolof.
Sorry.
Ishmael Lo is Wolof.
Oh yes. So yes. Oh, thank you for that. So there is a.
Even Yasin Ndo.
Sorry.
And Yasin Ndo as well.
Yes, Youssou N'Dour. Yes. So he is the most famous Senegalese musician, and he became so well through that kind of music, that kind of syncretized music, and he was once a minister in Senegal. Okay. So why am I doing this? I am trying to show you that the introduction of Islam by the Arabs in Africa, it also affected African music and resulted in the development of new genres.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
And then and then another thing I can tell you is that other aspects which are found in African religions, right? In African religious music is the use of other aspects are the use of chanting, right? Chanting, like as you're saying, clapping of hands, meditation, and getting into a trance. You see, hallucinating, some sort of hallucinating, if I can put it that way. So this is very common in many African communities. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. In our next podcast, to Mr. Arnold Ngala, thank you very much, and to you for listening. We appreciate your support. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please don't forget to like, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Spotify and iTunes and all the other places that you get your podcast from. Thank you.
Wenda bezikude zingumasithi zingifihlela wena wema wendaba ezikude zingumasithela zingifihlela wena.